What's up? Welcome back to Recharge. Dr. Gene here with
Dr. Ryan.
And as you can see, we're missing a person in the middle here. It's been a little while since we've been flying solo-ish.
Fine,
yeah.
Double Dutch?
Yeah. Pam's gone. Before Pam, we had Robbie, so we have a gap here before we have another physical therapy student coming in July. So it's going to be us. And again, the purpose of this is to kind of recap the week here at Recharge and really, as a whole, our thoughts for physical therapy, for fitness, health, just some of the important conversations that we had throughout the week that we'd like to share with you.
Yeah, some bigger topics this week have been a lot of conversations with our membership about we've gotten over that hump of consistency. So everybody looks to get into exercise and some sort of regimen and a plan and be, consistent with it. Well, the great thing is that we've had a whole bunch of members get to that point of now the gym or Recharge has become a habit, which is awesome, right? I mean, that in itself is a big win. Consistency will always trump anything else, whether it's how great the program is, how intense it is, how much weight, whatever. The consistency done over long periods of time is what's essential, right? But now what we're starting to see is that we're almost in like this optimization phase, which I don't really like the word optimize, but in a sense, we're looking at little other factors that contribute to how they are being consistent in here. So how can I make my workouts feel a little bit better? What is my nutrition like and how is it affecting how I'm working out? Am I sleeping enough? These little things that are easy to attack, once you find that foundational aspect and habit that is oftentimes movement, and what we would like to refer to as the movement is the window into change for your health, is been awesome to see that transformation. Now, even between ourselves as a business, we've been talking about how do we prioritize which of the elements of health we look at. So we have our 5, which is move, fuel, endure, recover, and connect. And it's been interesting amongst us to try to be like, what of those 5 are the most important to your overall health? And we differ from person to person. And I think it differs from each of our members as well. And it's a conversation I think needs to be had, because if we're going to say all of these things matter, well, what are you prioritizing and why, and how does it affect the rest? So that's kind of where we're at with members right now, which is a cool place to be. Don't get me wrong, but it's changing the conversations and what we do on a daily basis slightly to see, okay, how can we continue to make this better and enjoy it?
That's huge. I think having an overall purpose or mission and values and goals is critical, but they should always be fine-tuned to each person's kind of unique really perspective, because I think that's the one thing we all have that's unique to us is our view of the world, what's in front of us. Even though 2 people can be looking at the same exact thing, each person's previous experiences and values and everything that makes them them determines what is really shaped in front of them, because everything is based on that perspective. Even though we share 99.9% of the same genetic code, that little tiny smidgen of your experience still determines how you see things. So that's really important. For me, I actually want to share something that was not a big highlight for me, but I think it's still important to share. And had this conversation already. Told Ryan about it. We had somebody that called that wanted to come in for physical therapy. But she was unsure. She's had some previous bad experiences, and because we do things differently, not to say that it's better or worse, we think it's better, but we do things differently, and when something's done differently, that means change, and people don't like change because we as human beings, a lot of us go into our defense mode. The psychology of humans is we want to say no, we want to find reasons not to do it, which is understandable. It's a survival instinct. But she wanted to come in, but she wasn't sure, so she ended up coming in. And we really base a lot of what we do on education and communication, and words matter.
Deadlifts.
Oh. Yeah, deadlifts and squats. Yep. Yeah, once the words are done, we got to do deadlifts and squats. So words matter. It's really important, and we spend a lot of time listening to people. At least we try to. So when she came in and sat down and we started talking, I obviously asked her what was going on, why she came in. And she said that, and then she asked me a question about how we do things. And after that, I pretty much proceeded to talk the whole time and really talk over her. So we have our biases and our perspective on how we should deliver care and what pain is. And you've probably watched a lot of our videos. If you haven't, look back about pain and the most latest research and what science is kind of laying the groundwork for us. So what this essentially turned into was, instead of me answering her questions and helping her see a picture through her perspective, what I did was just pounded her with textbook and soapbox about, I was blatantly telling her what's going on with her, while I was thinking what I was thinking I was saying is, this is how pain works. What she was hearing is, this is how your pain is. And it came off obviously very rigid and not conversational. So, but afterwards, she obviously responded in not a positive way, because it felt like I was talking at her. I wasn't listening. I was not connecting. So everything that she came to kind of find out was she didn't. So what she instead got was a lecture soapbox from some clinician guy with a new kind of model that she didn't really understand in the first place. And it didn't work out well. But to me, it was a great experience for me in terms of growth. It was definitely, I felt bad afterwards for her, not for me, because she deserved better than that. And I really hope that she finds somebody that can help her, because I'm 99.9% sure she's not coming back here. But I hope at the very least that it piques her curiosity a little bit, that some of that what I threw at her at least sticks, or she can look back at the experience aside and move past some of the negatives of what that kind of relationship didn't turn out to be, but still take some of that information. Because I know, as much time as I focus on trying to prioritize listening to people and connecting, that was the complete opposite of what that was. But it was a really good, I think, long-term experience for me, as much as it sucked.
Oh, I hate those.
Yeah.
I've had my fair share too. It's just,
yeah. No fun.
And I think you've probably all had a similar experience of when you get so, for lack of a better word, again, passionate, or you're so in and believe in something, whether that be a model or philosophy or education, that it's easy to forget about the perspective in front of you. So if all our perspectives are different for how we're approaching tasks, it's the same for when we're trying to learn and understand things about ourselves. I've had plenty of those in multiple occasions, which I call bombs. I bombed out, that's what I refer to it as. And then I usually lay on the floor and yell for Gene, but it works out very well. So, yeah, I mean, that having those experiences, I think what we have on a daily basis, or a weekly, monthly, whatever it happens to be, are essential to how we then try to convey our education message, whether it's through our videos or interactions with membership or patients. It takes an awkward amount of skill and trial and error to learn how to convey these things. Because really what we're saying is, hey, you're going to be just fine for the most part, unless we see something crazy, and you need to keep moving and lift heavy things. And it's a very brash way to put it. I know when I onboard people into memberships, sometimes I think about what I'm saying, and I'm like, am I sounding too harsh? Rigid is a good word for it. Because at some point it probably is perceived as, he's just ignoring what I'm saying, how I feel. And so there's always that give and take between empathy, understanding, and moving forward. So I think our members definitely get a different part of that, because they're through the system. So not only have they gotten the perspective of how we talk about it, there's the whole part of how do you feel it. And for them, consistency and moving for 6 months is probably the best thing we could say, is that experience. So trying to create patient interactions into lifelong health behaviors is kind of what the goal is.
That's a good way to look at it. I think, to kind of reference also a previous Friday review video about locus of control, I think to a fault, we work very hard and are very, I'd say, purposeful in making sure the locus of control isn't with us as clinicians, that it's with patients. And we set an unreasonable goal for ourselves of 100% success rate, knowing that it is essentially setting ourselves up for failure, that stuff like this will happen. And we know that, but it shouldn't be because of that misconnection, because people learn at different rates, yourself included. If something's outside of your norm or your routine, it's going to feel like an entirely different world, and it's going to feel like it's two negative magnets coming at each other, even though you might logically know it makes sense. But if it doesn't feel right, you a lot of times defer to that, which is based on bias and experience. So we know that, and then it's part of kind of how we're set up, and but the struggle is real. The struggle is real.
So true.
Yep. I gotta keep fighting the good fight.
Always. We're in the trenches for a reason. That's why we do it.
Yeah, but it is. It's rewarding, I think, in the big picture, when we do get people that understand, and obviously our community members that do sign up, and people that go through physical therapy with us, they get to see, and once you experience it, once you go through it, once you make that active choice or proactive choice to say, I'm going to go and actually do it, then the reward obviously is, on the other side of it, is significant for everyone involved, because it's a long-term reward, but you still have to make that initial leap, right? That's why the saying is the hardest part is starting, not the doing. So it's tough for everyone involved, but it's always hard when it's both sides kind of reach an impasse.
Yeah, 100%. And it ties into where our membership is now. They've gotten over that hard impasse and now have created a whole new lifestyle and habit for themselves. So now these things that are normally so prevalent that we bring up initially, it's way easier to make changes in sleep and nutrition and stress management and all that stuff when you have something to anchor to. And you're like, hey, I've done this, I've made this change already. Change being the scariest thing for everybody, and it's there. So it's still good for us to see a new patient perspective consistently along the side of our members. And I think we get spoiled sometimes with members saying, hey, my biggest issue isn't that I'm not deadlifting 3 days a week. It's, can I have a few extra vegetables in my diet here and there? Like, the whole conversation shifts, and it's pretty rewarding overall.
Yeah, and the hardest thing is not getting frustrated, and I'm sure this happens to you. I think this parallels to any other industry where you're dealing with people. People are so unpredictable, and again, to reference the start of this conversation, your experiences dictate what you build your future or your present to be. It's all based on that. So if you're dealing with other people at work and or you think what you're saying is in their best interest or in the best interest of everyone else, but you're speaking at it from your lens, from your perspective, and they might not get that. They might not fully put everything together based on how you're saying it, versus kind of putting yourself in their shoes and seeing it from their lens. That's hard. Dealing with people and kind of conforming to their communication wavelength. That's a huge challenge. That's also kind of fun. It's a fun challenge to deal with people if you're into that kind of stuff. If you're a glutton for punishment a bit.
Truth.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So that's our week in review. Let us know what you think. Do you have similar struggles if you work with people? How do you go about that? How do you connect? How do you build that middle ground to really connect with people? It's called authentic connection, where you really understand each other or work towards that. We'd love to hear that. If you're enjoying these, check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel. Just look up Recharge X Fit. Subscribe. We'd love to have you kind of see our new content coming out, which we put out regularly. Also check out Instagram and Facebook at Recharge X Fit. We'll catch you again next week.